Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you yet another painting tutorial. This time we're going to add another miniature to the playlist of the basic infantry of each army. That's something that I want to do. I want you guys to be able to come onto my channel, and there should be a playlist which will show you how to paint a basic infantry model from every single army that Games Workshop does. So this week I thought I'd tackle one of the most popular ones, which is the new plastic Sister of Battle range. No one can deny that the range of miniatures in that is absolutely stunning. So what we're going to do is paint up a basic infantry model in the Order of the Bloody Rose. So the beautiful red armor, the black cloth, white faceplate, and silver trim. So sit around at the end of the video and yeah, enjoy. Okay guys, so this is the Sister of Battle miniature that I've chosen to do, and it is the commemorative Sister Tariana Polos model. It is just a basic Sister of Battle model. I just thought with the beautiful open pose, it would be great to show you guys painting techniques and stuff like that. So I'm going to start with the Blood Angels Red contrast paint, and we are going to apply this to all of the armor panels of this miniature. I've talked about it in pretty much all my videos before with the contrast. Make sure that you heavily load up your brush, apply the contrast to all the areas you want, and then spend a little bit of time pulling away any of the contrast that is pooled anywhere you don't want it to pool. I also recommend that you basically finish one part of a miniature completely before moving on to the next. So I'm going to start with the right leg. I'm going to make sure the contrast is in the right spots on all of the leg panels before I then move up to anywhere else on the miniature. And this is what the red should look like across the entire miniature. I have converted the model slightly. I wouldn't even call it a conversion. I've just given her a helmet because I wanted to show you how to paint the beautiful white faceplate on this model. So next we're on to the Black Templar contrast, and we're going to apply that to all of her robes. So I know that the standard traditional color scheme for the Order of the Bloody Rose has the black cloth on the outside and white cloth on the inside, but the white just seems like a lot of effort and I don't think it adds a lot to the miniature, so we're going to go with black on inside and outside. So next we're going to move over to Cygor Brown, and we're going to use this to base coat quite a lot of parts of the miniature. So pretty much all of the detailing going around her waist, all of her leather straps, the holsters, the purity seal parchment, all of those bits and pieces, we're going to give it a coat of Cygor Brown. This will just act as a fantastic base coat for pretty much every color that needs to get layered on top of that. And it really pulls the model together. Really helps all those individual details stand out. Right now, it's just a mess. It's really hard to figure out what's what. But I found after this particular layer had dried, I was in a much better headspace for painting the rest of the miniature. And here's what you can see what I mean. All of those details browned in, and I can clearly see what parts are what. So now we're going to move over to the Leadbelcher and start base coating all of the metallic parts. Most Sister of Battle orders, their shoulder trim is done in gold, not with the Order of the Bloody Rose. They're done in silver. So I base coat all of these parts with Leadbelcher, including any pipe work and all of the metal parts for the gun. Obviously I'm going to leave the casing black, as is their style. There's obviously things like grenades and the handle of the pistol on her back. Just going to make sure to get all of those coats, all of those little pieces done with a coat of Leadbelcher. Okay, now here's with all of the silver parts done. Just because most of the detail is silver doesn't mean it's all silver. So we are going to take out some Retributor Armour gold, and any of the holy sigils, the inquisitorial marks, are going to get done in gold. So there's one across her chest and there's one on her right hip, and I've also chosen to do the fleur-de-lis on the gun in gold as well. Okay, you can see the gold parts done. There's a couple of more little details we need to do before we wash the model. First one being Screamer Pink, which I'm going to use as a base coat for the wax seals on all of the purity seals. So she has 4 of these, 2 on her left shoulder, 1 on her right shoulder, and then there's 1 around the side of her left shoulder as well. Very great job, just give them a coat of Screamer Pink. And then we're going to go for the first coat of white. For this we're going to use Grey Seer, and this is going to be the first sloppy coat across her visor. You're not looking to get anything smooth, you're just looking to strengthen up that colour before the shade stage. Give us a nice foundation to work with when that shade dries. And that's her with all of her base coats done. It's time to shade the model. For that I've chosen Seraphim Sepia. This will shade down all the parts of the miniature quite nicely, the gold, the black, all the metallics, even the red. So I'm going to go for an all over coat of this shade paint, Seraphim Sepia. I do love getting all of the base coats on a miniature and then shading it all down. And then once that's dry, I feel like the painting process can begin. Everything before that kind of feels like prep work. But maybe that's just me. I just think it really helps the process. So as is tradition, while the shade was drying, I also did some work on the base and got that done up. And this is what the miniature sits like after the base coats, washes, and the base is done. I think this is an actually really nice standard right here. And if you need to do an army really quick, or painting isn't your thing and you just want to have the models with a coat of paint on them, there's nothing wrong with leaving it right here. If you want to take it up a little further though, we're going to do that now. So we're going to use Mephiston Red Air, and we're going to quickly layer up the highest panels of the armor. You just want to take your time, not hit any of the other details. We're in the detail work now, so you need to be a little bit more careful. And I know the Mephiston Red screams that it's too bright, but as it dries, it actually darkens down quite a bit, and it blends in really, really nicely. So all you're going to do is go around the rest of the armor and repeat that step. And when you do, this is the result. She's already looking pretty cool. Next, we're going to use Skavenblight Dinge, and we're going to use that to layer up all of the cloth and the gun casing. So anywhere that's black, we're going to use Skavenblight Dinge to layer that up. Following the high folds of the fabric and leaving all of the recesses nice and dark. So the next thing we're going to tackle is layering up all of the parchment on this miniature, and there is quite a lot of parchment on it. Obviously the beginning point with the Cygor Brown and the wash has left the parchment quite dark, so we are going to have to build it up with 2 layers. The first one being Legion Drab, and we're quickly going to layer up every single little piece of parchment that we find. I like to go left to right, or side to side should I say, leaving little lines of dark in all of the folds of the cloth of the parchment, sorry. Something like that. You're going to repeat that across all the different parts of parchment. And once you've done that first layer, then we're going to go over to something a bit brighter, which is Ushapti Bone. And we are going to layer up that stage again, leaving a little bit of the Legion Drab left, but mostly bringing the parchment into a nice bright colour. This is quite a focal point of the model, so it's worth taking your time on. And there you have it. That's what the parchment looks like. Next, we're going to work on all of the leather parts. I've used Bloodreaver Flesh in a couple of videos to layer up leather, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to follow across with the leather holster for her pistol. There's an ammunition clip pouch beside her, and then one for a grenade, I think. So we're going to do all of those, plus the straps that run around her front, holding on her webbing for her grenades and stuff like that. So take your time, find all those little straps and just give them a light layer of Bloodreaver Flesh. And there we have it. Leatherwork looking great. Now it's time to bring the silver parts back up. So we got to go back to Leadbelcher, and we're going to layer up all of these different parts. So the metallics on the gun, the grenades, pipework around her neck. You just want to take your time. You don't want to fill in all of the dirty metal left behind from the shade, just some of the higher parts. Bring the silver back into focus. Next, we're going to work on that faceplate. Like I said, we've got a dirty white at the minute. We need to get it to something a lot purer than that. For that, we're going to use Ulthuan Grey. Ulthuan Grey is about as close to white as you can get without actually being white. It means it gets easier and better coverage than white, but once it's on the tabletop, no one notices that it's not actually pure white. The advantages of this are you can actually highlight it with white if you so choose. I will just be sticking with the Ulthuan Grey, as this is an infantry miniature and you're expected to paint 30, 40, 50 of these miniatures for your army. Just take your time, 2 thin coats to get that smooth Ulthuan Grey coat across the entire helmet. Another small but important detail, we are going to add a tiny touch of colour back to those wax parchment seals. So we're going to use this with pink horror and just a couple of dots on those scrimmer pink parts from earlier. A tiny touch goes a long way. And last but by no means least, we're going to do the eye lenses. Because the helmet faceplate has already been done in white, we can go straight to Talassar Blue, get a nice fine pointed brush, and just fill in that eye socket with Talassar Blue. It will settle in a staggering way. All of the outside will be quite dark and the centre will be nice and bright. And it'll look like you spent far more time on the eye lens than you actually did. And here is the finished result. I'm quite pleased with how this turned out. I would be more than happy with an army up to this standard on the battlefield. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, learned a few tips and tricks. And if you did, don't forget to support me, support the channel, subscribe. If you did enjoy the video, drop it a like. And don't forget to ask me any questions you have below in the comments, and I'll do my very best to get back to each and every one of you. I'll see you guys in the next video.